beautiful day in the hood and the beautiful suburbs, man. Shout out to all my people out there in Van City right now, waking up to the sounds of garbage cans and bums fighting and protests sounding off and, cop sirens and everything, man. Dude, it's hell living downtown.
Well, downtown, yeah, but out in Burnaby, I was listening to the birds chirping this morning.
It's beautiful. So, my name's Mike Holton. I'm here, your host on the Morning Dose, here with my co-host
James Coulter.
Man, the myth, the legend. Anybody from Vancouver Island, we give a shout out to you this morning. That's our old stomping grounds where we grew up.
Victoria.
Good times. Here in the Morning Dose, we like to get your mornings going with a little talk about one of our favorite morning routines, which doesn't involve coffee. In fact, you know what? I usually don't have my coffee till about 2 o'clock. Sometimes I'll have a coffee in the morning. Most of the time, I'll wait it out. Right? I'll just wait. I won't have the coffee till 2 just to get that little perk up. But what happens when I do microdose is that I end up not needing coffee most of the time. It's really weird. I'm the coffee. I'm a guy that just does stuff when it feels right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need necessities. I'm not a necessity guy. So I'm like, drink water today. I guess I'll drink some water today. Right. Or whatever. Right. I just I feel like it. And, when I microdose, I honestly don't need to wake up in the morning. It wakes me the fuck up. Like I just wake up and my brain's going, right?
The internal clock. I wake up every morning, usually about 5:36, and right to the coffee maker. That's the first thing I do. Hit the Keurig, wait that 45 seconds for the heat up, and then pour my coffee and sort of come into the day slowly. Yeah. The microdosing, I'll usually take 9 or 10 in the morning. I like it better in the morning. I don't find I feel as much if I do it before I go to bed. However, for me, any time to microdose is good. Yeah.
So your morning routine, how important is it for you to have a good morning routine every day? Do you have something that's like a set plan, like you said?
I wouldn't call my morning routine a good one. I think if I got up and, went for a jog or a walk or went to the gym and, just drank water instead of coffee, after the gym, had a nice protein shake and some breakfast, that would be my ideal morning. But Vancouver's a busy city and I don't have time for it.
So then when you wake up, is your brain automatically on go? Like it's like, boom, you wake up and you start thinking about your day and start making plans? Are you that type of guy or does it have to, you need time?
The coffee gives me a little bit of time. I need about maybe 30 minutes, then I hit the shower and then I'm on the road.
Bring this a little bit closer to you.
All right.
There you go, so we can hear your sexy voice on there. And this is what I kind of wanted to talk about on this episode. We're going to release an episode every couple days for people who listen in the morning on their way to work, wherever they listen to it. And I wanted to kind of get into morning routines here. We'll start right at the beginning of the day on this one. And I wanted to talk to people about how important the morning is. Growing up, we were told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
For sure.
That? Yeah. And as a kid, I think it probably was. You want to have energy and, go to school and boom, boom. And as we look back at it, we see that this was just a ploy to sell eggs and cereal and milk, right? And it worked because we did. But
I think when you're a kid, though, you need that breakfast in the morning. You need those calories. You need that energy. I think when you get older, your 20s and 30s, you can skip a few breakfasts. But when you get older, your morning routine is going to change completely. I'm 46 now, and it's completely different than when I was 26 or 16.
Yeah, we're not cracking beer and Clamato juice anymore. Hey, on those rough mornings, just sucking it up. But, morning routine has a lot to do with how your life, your day is a small sample size of what your life is really like. So if you want to see how somebody's life is, look at how they conduct themselves every day.
Exactly.
Right? And how they start their day and how they end it. Right? And then you'll see what type of person you're dealing with.
But you need consistency. There's a lot of people that don't start their day consistent.
Yeah.
You know, some days they'll get up at 10, 11, sleep past 12. Some days they'll get up early. Some days they won't go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I think having your morning routine and having your day consistent really helps, especially if you're microdosing.
Yeah, and your microdosing really adds to it, you know, like
Yep.
my morning routine is the same every day. So when I wake up, I have 30 minutes of required silence in the house. So I get up before my girl, and not the cats because they're already awake. But I get up and I sit in silence. And when my brain is first coming to life after 8, or usually it's only 6 hours of sleep, after about 6 hours, your brain slowly comes back to life, and it's starting to put together, you know, pieces of yesterday and combining with thoughts of today. Like, you know, your brain does some amazing things in the morning. And I think that we kill that process, a lot of people, by, you know, getting up, looking at our phones first thing. That's a huge thing everybody does, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you get up and you look at your phone first thing in the morning, your brain stops processing necessary thoughts and thoughts about not just about your day, but about yourself, self-awareness.
You take yourself out of the real world and you jump into a cyber world. Yeah. There's two worlds. You know, the real world's a lot smaller than the cyber world, and a lot of people live there.
Yeah. And it's a lot of reason for depression, you know, with people. And I'm sure you've worked with people that have been victims of social media and the internet, and how it's made them feel, you know, and how it's made them like look at themselves, right, in a weird way.
I know a lot of people that rely on social media. That's where they live. You don't see them out regularly. You only see them on social media.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so when you think about it, you come to life in the morning after your most peaceful time of the day, which is sleeping. It's your most peaceful, unless you're a crazy sleeper. And you wake up, and the first thing you do is you start the fire on your brain, right? And that's looking at social media, or even some people get up and they fight with their spouses first thing in the morning. I've been in that position before. Hey,
not good.
It's not good, right? And that ruins your day. And, you know, that's why I always say you get up, sit in silence, learn the sound of silence. Everyone's like, oh, there's no sound. No, there's a sound to silence. There's a sound to everything in this world.
You got to use that time to sort of reconnect with the real world.
Yeah. The vibrations of being in silence are what calm you and allow your brain to open up and flower and think, right? Because first thing in the morning, you want to expand your brain. You want it to flower and stretch and open up. And
you got shit to do.
You got shit to do, right? So you want a nice, strong, powerful, confident brain, right? You put social media, or you put, you know, TV, right, on it, you're dousing all growth that is potentially there for your day. And that's kind of the same for life. If you just sit around watching TV and doing nothing with your life, you know, on social media, on TV, you're going to get nowhere in life, right? So that's why the silence is so important. And then that's when I like to do my microdose. Because when the brain is opening up and flowering like that, the microdose only expands that and makes it so it flowers even more, right? Like, did you ever see that thing where they had the depressed brain versus the microdose brain?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Right.
There's far much more activity with the microdose.
Yeah. And how
on
the size
psilocybin.
of it. Remember, like, they were talking about the size of it. It was just a little ball. And then, you know, when it was on microdosing, it was all flowered and it was out. Like, they showed those pictures, right? And, you know, that's when you wake up, your brain is like that. It's like a little ball, right? And it just, you got to give it time to grow. And that's why your thinking potential doesn't come till late afternoon-ish.
It's like the old car, the old Civic, like,
yeah, right? And
you got to give it time to warm up.
Give it time.
Got to give it time to warm up.
So what's your microdosing process when you...
Well, I've been microdosing now for 2 years, and I found most of the benefits after the 6-week mark, the 3-month mark, and then about 6 or 7 months. Those are when I felt the most benefit from it. And during those times, I was doing it consistently, 5 times per day, probably about, I'd teeter from 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams per day. Now, I can self-monitor it, and I'll take, you know, a 200 milligram dose, you know, sometimes 3 days a week, sometimes 2 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week. And I mean, I feel that I know my dosing.
Yeah.
and I feel that self-monitoring it is the best for me.
How did you get to find your amount that works for you?
Well, I think the magic amount, I mean, I'm a drug addict, so I'm probably not, I can probably take more than most people.
Yeah.
So I started with 100 milligrams, and I think if you've never done drugs, or if you're experimenting, or you're sensitive, I think a 50 milligram dose is nice to start. I bumped it up to a 200 milligram dose because there were only 2 pills available, 100 mil and 200 mil. So I started on the 200 mil ones, and every day I was doing them 7 days a week, and after about 6 weeks, like I said, I was driving, and I didn't feel high, but all of a sudden I felt light.
Yeah.
Like my brain's constantly going. I'm thinking about this. I have, trying to get my wife PR status. We have a baby on the way. I'm just everything. I got another business going. I'm work at the hospital.
Renaissance men.
It was like I just stepped back. Even though I was driving, it just like everything pushed back, and I got a bigger picture. I wasn't now just looking at one item at a time. I could look at all of them, and it just felt less stress. I just felt lighter. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because finding it is kind of you have to test basically, and if you're thinking about doing microdosing, testing. It's the least dangerous test you're going to do for drugs.
I don't believe anyone's ever died from psilocybin.
No, it's never going to hurt you. Like there's a couple drawbacks when you are testing to find your microdosing levels. One, know the drugs you're already on. Like know what kind of medication that you're on.
Exactly.
Right? It's SSRI, MOA. Like what type of drug are you on? And research it.
And if you don't know, talk to your physician.
Talk to your physician. If your physician doesn't tell you anything, you have 2 options. Go to a free clinic and talk to one of the doctors there because they have 0 obligation. They will tell you the truth, right? They're just making the government money. Or to get a new physician, man, because this treatment is on the forefront of, this is the future of treatment for depression and for
100%.
trauma.
I believe that.
We are here at it. This is it. It still has a stigma from the 60s. And, it's going to just be a matter of time before people are doing, like I work with children and parents who are doing this with children. Like it's becoming normal.
And if you don't know much about it, hey, get on your phone,
phone.
Google it.
Yeah.
Google.
What I did is I tried, I went right for 260 milligrams off the start. So I went 260 right off the hop. And
well, we got a fair bit of trauma. You got high off 260 milligrams.
Oh yeah, because it was it was almost quarter gram kind of, right? Like it's a lot, right? And it was
you're also not an addict though.
Yeah, and so my receptors were wide open, and I just was like, okay, this is a little extreme. I wasn't high, but I was like, okay, yeah, I'm right on the edge of being lying down. And so I was like, okay, that was a lot. And then I went down to 140, and then it seems like 140 is good for me at that level. And you know what? I just experimented with it. And the thing is, when you do first do it, you want to have kind of the day off. You want to do the microdosing on the day off, from work, or if you have nothing to do, you just kick it around the house, cleaning, whatever. Just take it then and see how it affects your body, right? So if it's too much, you can lie down, or you can just relax,
or just start out with 50 milligrams.
Or start off with 50.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to feel high on microdose.
You should not feel the microdose. And if you do feel it, I think you're doing too much.
Yeah, and then it's a party.
It's how... So when someone does, say, back in the old days when I did mushrooms, I would never carry a scale with me. I'd always just the 2-3-finger pinch.
Yeah.
And you never know how much you're getting. Mm-hmm. Could be 2 grams, could be 3 grams. So I didn't like mushrooms, but when you do the 3 grams, it's like your brain gets a charge. Mm-hmm. Like it is so active that if you do enough, you will see things that aren't there or feel things that aren't happening. So dosing is so important, especially with microdosing. If you start out with 50 milligrams, do that every second day. And if you don't feel that, bump it up to 100 and slowly. I think the dosing is the hardest thing. I think this is going to be legal soon, folks. Like I believe it. I read so much literature online. It's the doctors are starting to get into it. I work in psych myself, and 3 years ago, when I started my interest in psilocybin movement, I talked to my psychiatrists that work with me, and they weren't really. No, I don't know.
Weren't really down
they didn't
with it.
agree. They didn't agree.
Stay on your
However, 6 months ago, I asked the same psychiatrist, and they're
They're going for it.
not
now.
that they didn't agree. They said it's very interesting what they're doing.
The fact that it's been decriminalized in Vancouver, so if you get pulled over on the street and you have mushrooms, they're not going to throw you in jail. They're not
Nope.
going to fine you. It's
Nope.
been decriminalized. So that's a step forward in
And
getting it out to people.
I believe that's you're allowed to have under an ounce.
Under an ounce or something.
Yeah, 28 grams. So under that, as long as it's not bagged up into 1 grams. But
Yeah,
still,
you're not a
I
dealer.
don't. Yeah, dealing is a different charge.
And trust me, even if you were dealing,
Mushrooms.
you're not a hardcore mushroom dealer. If you're a
Yeah.
hardcore mushroom dealer, I don't know many violent
Fucking
mushroom
give us
dealers.
a call. We want you to be on our show.
Not many gangster mushroom dealers out there, but it's what I think we should do is we've given them ours. I'm going to give them and give anyone who's listening here a sample day of how I think they could do their day. From my opinion, and maybe you do it afterwards.
Well,
right?
that's
With
what
the-
we are. We're
the coaches.
the coaches, your
Right.
psilocybin altered therapy coaches.
Mhm.
And I can look at someone, I can talk to them maybe 30 minutes,
Mhm.
find out about their life a little bit, find out what medication, and I feel confident with telling someone
Yeah.
a dose for sure.
Yeah, same here. And it's like, just so you know, we're not, obviously, and we say it again, we're not medical professionals. We don't have degrees. James has a degree in
Psych.
Psych.
We both have degrees on the street. We've
Yeah,
both
we've learned.
been around addiction,
Yeah.
probably more than a lot of people with degrees.
Mhm.
We've both worked with addicts. We've both worked with kids. We have education that
Yeah.
not a lot of people
We
have.
have
So we bring
education-
something different to the table.
Yeah, we have an education that the professionals call us and talk to us about. Hey, and pull us into classes to talk.
Indeed.
Isn't that weird
Yes.
when that happens? It's
Yeah.
so bizarre. So if you're thinking about doing microdosing, this is what I would suggest you do. All right, this is from Russ. One, figure out what meds you're on. Figure out how psilocybin is going to affect you on your meds. If your meds are going to be a blocker, if they're going to enhance it, or are they going to create something that's called a serotonin syndrome, which is not fun feeling. It goes
Nope.
away and you won't die from it, but it's not fun feeling. Right. Right. So check that out first. Second, you need to go to any one of our social medias. You go to My Mushroom Experience on Instagram. You go to microdosebc.net, the website, for more information. You can go to alteredstatetherapy.com for more therapy options and more information. You can go to any one of our YouTube. You can press that stuff on YouTube. You can hit us up, on a DM on any one of those social sites, right? And just ask questions. Worst thing you can do is to just go and get mushrooms and start taking them, because there's more to it than just taking a pill.
And also reading.
And that was the third one.
Look on Google. Like, if you think you're suffering from depression, then look at the signs of
Yeah.
depression, and then look at how psilocybin can help with depression.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an alcoholic, you can do the same. If you're an addict, do the same.
Yeah.
Read, people. Educate yourselves.
Definitely.
We're here to help you a little bit, maybe give you a little bit of push, but educate yourselves.
Yeah, and if you need to get some videos and you want to know what you can read or what you can look at, just hit us up. I'm going to send you some links to some great videos online, some stuff that you could see, and it'll hopefully help you get off the meds We are huge proponents of not taking medication that's issued to you by government official doctors that are paid off to do
Chemicals. We want to bring you something organic, something grown from the earth.
Yeah. And, and with that said, I think, on our next episode, we should maybe dive into, what we've seen with people.
Microdosing?
Yeah, microdosing. Like, without telling some names. Like, let's talk about some of the people that we've helped and that we've hooked up, and just hear what they've said to you about their life, right? And I can share some stories about the therapy sessions.
I got a few stories.
Right.
I got a few people I've been working with for a while.
Awesome.
And yeah.
All right, awesome. So
I
next
think that's a
episode,
great idea.
Next episode is going to be all about stories. We're going to tell some stories. Get your get your
no.
popcorn ready, right? Get your popcorn ready. Get your microdoses out. Pop them, drink them, and go have yourself an amazing morning.
And another thing I'd like to talk about, maybe we can dip into it next, is the different ways you can ingest mushrooms. The different, the different products out there. Back in our day, it was just chocolates, because we all know mushrooms don't taste very good. So a lot of people put them on pizza, chocolates, but we'll jump into that next episode.
How to ingest mushrooms. Awesome. You are ingesting the morning dose. It is our Microdose podcast. That is James Coulter. My name is Mike Colton, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, don't forget to always take your morning dose.
Peace.